Hello, strangers. Becky Jane here. I know. It has been a minute since I dropped an episode on the SHIIIIIFTS podcast, and I think it was like June. I blinked and we're in autumn. Wait, what? Time just really does fly by, and I am here to update you on everything that I've been up to, things that I've been doing, where I'm at, and just really sharing with you some of the big decisions that I've been making, both personally and in my business. You name it, I have been doing it this past few months, literally refortifying the foundations of everything that I do and what my life is and the version of me that I'm currently in. I feel amazing, and I wanted to share with you what I have been up to, what I've been doing, and most importantly how this next level version of me is kind of stepping forward, and what that means for you that's listening, my audience over on Facebook, my clients. So let's start with the break. So that did start with an incredible program called Luminary with the incredible Jessica and Melissa Amos. And that really opened my eyes and got me really digging deep and exploring into everything that lights my soul up, what I get excited about in terms of the work that I do in the world and the legacy that I want to bring and the difference that I want to help women to make for themselves and within their life. But I actually honestly needed to take some space for me to zoom out and really reassess everything and have that moment for self-reflection, because the last few years I've created and I've done some incredible things, but I was starting to wonder that there must be something even more magical that was just waiting for me to bring out, to pull out and to offer the world. And obviously there have been the curveballs, and life obviously keeps lifing. I have 5 kids, so that break came at the right time, just kind of slowing things down and coasting for a little while instead of going at things in 5th gear. And it started to become really clear that before I could move forward and decide what I wanted to do next, what those next steps looked like, before I could move forward in my business and in how I show up, I was going to have to dig a little bit deeper and do that reflecting. And the program Luminary that I took part in was incredible for opening my eyes to really exploring myself to the depths, the legacy that I wanted to create, the work that I'd done, the skills, just so many different things. And within that came a lot of, I don't want to say brutal honesty because it's not, but in a sense, yeah. I had to get really honest with myself in terms of some of the things that I was doing in my business that really just didn't match up with the version of me that I wanted to become and what I wanted my life and business to look like. So I had to get really honest and sit with myself and just ask myself, if I continue on this path, then who am I becoming? Does that match? Does this path and the steps that I'm taking, does it match up with the vision? Does it match up with the goals? Does it match up with my legacy? Because part of that reflection also brought in, a lot of questions to ask myself around being in business and being a mum of 5. Sometimes it can really feel like I'm balancing 10 plates, trying to spin them all at the same time. And sometimes you can't wait for somebody to give you the permission to put some of those plates down. And sometimes it's about allowing yourself to take some of those plates and put them down yourself and give yourself the permission to do that. and to just step back a little bit, zone out, and figure out what really, really matters, what it is that excites you, what it is that lights you up, what it is that you really want to do, and take out of the equation the worries about, well, what will they think? What will people that don't even actually matter, what are their opinions going to be? So I really took some time out during the summer. There have been some crazy, wild, amazing things happening in personal life. Garden landscaping, we've had diggers in, we've been planning a wedding. There's just been so much, and it's felt amazing to be in life, to really reflect on where I was even 12 months ago and listen to the people that inspire me, and sharing similar messages to what I do has been incredibly affirming. And I have, as I said, been making some huge decisions in terms of my business, and they weren't just about strategy, they weren't about doing more, they were more about how I wanted to feel in this next chapter of my life. And as I say, in that self-reflection, one of the questions is that I ask myself, that I invite you to explore for yourself as well, is how you want to feel in the next chapter of your life, how you're showing up for that. Are you showing up for it fully? Am I stepping into the version of myself that I want to be? Because I had to ask that of myself, am I stepping into the leader that I know I can be, and pave the way forward? And interestingly, I am also a 3/5 manifester. So I bring all of that energy as well, and some serious shifting did have to happen, and it was because of Luminary and Jess and Melissa that brought those questions for me to sit with and really get honest with, and decide how I was going to pull all of the magic that I do, that I bring, just by being here and the way that I show up, and not just the expertise, but the essence of who I am, how I'm going to bring all of that together. Because I'll be honest, for how amazing some of the things that I'd created were, I was being pulled in all different directions, and I was the one that was doing it to myself. I was spreading myself so thin across so many different things within my business that if I didn't stop and take some time out, I reckon I would have been burnt out by now. So these shifts weren't just practical, it wasn't tweaking my strategy or creating new goals. A lot of the things that I've been considering over the last few months have been really deeply personal in how I wanted to level up, and how I viewed myself, how I saw myself in the mirror, how I felt energetically, and learning to check in with myself every day in terms of what I was going to be available for, and how I wanted to run things, instead of thinking, well, this is how it should be done. If I wanted to see the success, if I wanted to progress, if I wanted to move forward, then I need to do it like X, Y, Z. And I actually think by holding myself to those kind of invisible rules was actually what was doing me in. And I had to decide, I get to choose how I want to present this in terms of what fits best for me, my energy, my capacity, my availability. And the moment that I allowed myself to do that, I could breathe. I just felt this big exhale. And one of those, I'll share with you, one of those was how much time I was spending on Zoom calls. I was showing up to so many Zoom calls. And living with ADHD meant that my focus just goes within an hour in, and it meant that I was having to sit behind my laptop, and I found too many Zoom calls they were draining me. So I took them off the table. I took them out of my offers and the ways to work with me. And I reserve those now for my one-to-one clients. And even then, they're not multiple times a week. I realised that in that, it wasn't just the decision to take Zooms off the table, but it was actually the act of giving myself the permission to say, do you know what, I ain't got the capacity for this. Like, I find it really draining. It doesn't help my energy. There's nothing more empowering and kind of liberating than checking in with yourself, with how you're feeling, where your energy's at, and checking in, like, before the Zoom call, where my energy was at, versus afterwards. And like I said, there's no more liberating feeling than just giving yourself the permission to just drop something, even if it's not a negative, toxic, whatever thing, but you know it impacts you, or it impacts your energy, or you feel really tired afterwards, or it doesn't really light you up as much as it once did. There's a real liberation to kind of unshackling yourself from the shoulds. So, like I said, part of everything that I've been doing in the last few months has been letting go of some of the old patterns, habits, things that are no longer serving where I want to get to, the version of myself that I want to be. So that leads me into what that means now, what this version of me now looks like. So I have been showing up in a way that feels 100% true to me, and I have now pulled in, thanks to Luminary. Go and give them a follow. I will drop their information in the little summary for this podcast, because they are both incredible women. Because of Luminary, because of spending that time and really reflecting and digging deeper and giving myself the permission to kind of explore things and be curious about it as well, has meant that I get to show up in a way that feels true, instead of not just what people are expecting from me. And I stopped doing things that I felt like I should be doing because that's the way that business is done. You know, some of my, even like my personal standards, boundaries and things have been shifted, and allowing myself to be ambitious and to do what I want, and to take the breaks, and to buy or go places that I want to go to. Like, there's been so many shifts that have been happening, and what I ended up doing was pulling in everything that I've been doing, scrapping off all of these individual things that I've been creating that just sit there on my website, and just thinking, okay, this is what I bring. Because one of the things that I'd really struggled with was staying in my lane, picking one particular difficulty that, you know, that dream client has, and sticking with it. And I knew that if I only allowed myself one area of expertise, that I would feel like I was confining myself, when I had a wealth of things that I could help so many different women with, that I do help different women with different challenges, who bring different problems. And it lights me up being able to tap in and pivot this thinking brain and move into the solutions and the support that they need. Like, it's something different with everyone that I get to work with, and that is what lights me up. So I created this incredible way to work with me this summer called the Business Creatrix. Some of you have heard about it, some of you haven't. So the Business Creatrix is your deep level, like deep, intimate mentorship and business support for women. So this is the kind of nurturing support where you've got me in your pocket all day, every day if you need to, for so many different areas within your life, within your identity, your confidence, and more specifically your business, because you can't have one without the other, right? We can have the business and it's succeeding and we've got clients, but if somewhere within your life, within your identity, your confidence, your self-belief, your self-image, the way you see yourself moving in life, if something falls out of balance, it's going to tip the scales and something will give. So I was like, how can I bring all of that into one space? And that's where the Business Creatrix was born. So I pulled in everything. So it's nothing new. it's just making sure that the women that I work with have access to this brain and all of the tools that I use in one place. Because to me, managing multiple mentors, showing up on all of these different Zoom calls, that was also draining. Sitting on a 2-hour mastermind for help with one small difficulty within my business was really draining. And I thought, you know what, it'd just be great to have somebody in my inbox where I could just message them and say, help, what do I do? And have somebody that would be able to respond straight away, that would understand. And even more importantly as well, was providing a space where women could be human and vent and offload their frustrations, and, you know, if things were getting to them, for them to safely explore their emotions, to voice them out, to soundboard when they needed to, was really important to me as well. So I'd had all of these light bulb moments about, you know, how I'd been kind of hiding this. And I think part of that was the way I saw myself and what I believed about what I deserved in terms of success, and all of those little nitpicky things that can crop up, and where things weren't working, where things were clashing between business and motherhood, or just life when life starts lifing. And I wanted to start owning and stepping into that business gets to have a feeling of ease to it. So business in general, okay, I'm going to say it, business is not meant to be easy. Otherwise, we'd all be doing it. We'd all be successful billionaires and entrepreneurs. But there is meant to be this sense of ease where it feels fun and it feels exciting. Yeah, okay, you know, admin stuff, website building, all your back end things don't always feel exciting. There are obviously things that we need to be doing in our business that, you know, don't feel as fun. But in general, showing up in your business, the brand that you're building, ought to feel like fun. And that kind of feeling of ease and allowing myself to kind of lean into some uncomfortable parts and really showing up authentically and just saying, do you know what? I can't stay in my lane. I can't just offer this one thing. I need to offer all of it. Like, here is my brain. So that's what I did. You know, and I'm not saying it has been an easy few months. It hasn't. But I am feeling amazing. Like, genuinely, for the first time in a while, that I feel like I am actually really in alignment with where I am, with who I am, and with what I want. And that shift, even though it's mostly internal and showing up for me, means that anybody that I get to work with within my business, my audience, gets to feel that shift as well. You know, there's new routines, there's new boundaries, there's perspective shifts and new ways of looking at things. And when you really start living from that place, the universe really does show up for you and the path rises to meet you. It's literally an energy or a vibe shift, and it has been everything. When I say I am probably the most content that I have felt in a while, is absolutely true. Like, I loved life previously, but there always seemed to be things that I needed to be doing, sitting behind my laptop till late, like early hours in the morning. And now it's just like, you know, if I want to take the day off, I'm going to take the day off. And it has, these shifts that have been happening have just really put me in a place of not feeling comfortable, because the goal is to get comfortable and then get uncomfortable again, because that's growth. But a sense of contentment with, like, there's so many things that we've done in our home life and for family that we have been literally dreaming of doing for so many years. And it was like one of those things where, oh, when we've got this money, we'll invest in this or this. And one of those was the garden, having the garden landscaped. If you've been following that one through the summer, then you'll know how incredible of a job that was done out there and how much of a big project that was. And it wasn't just about a garden, it was a representation of the growth as a family unit as well. And just, as they say, teamwork makes the dream work. But for those who know, we have young children that are on the autistic spectrum that needed a safe place to be in life, to chill really safely. So we got on with that project this summer, and it's just been, like I say, when you see things that you've really wanted for so many years and you thought you couldn't have, and you start seeing things very quickly falling into place, all of these things that you'd hoped for that you could give to your children, even like sometimes the nights where I felt really guilty because I couldn't provide them that space because I didn't have the funds for whatever reason. But once you start stepping into the version of yourself that knows you can have it, that knows it's possible, that knows it is for you and it's out there, like so many things start dropping into place. So, this summer has been the garden project, deciding to get married and planning a wedding, photo shoots within my business, which at the start of the year I didn't think were going to be on the cards for me this year. And these might be small things, but to me, it's those shifts and the version of myself that continually grows to step into that version that knows she can have those and sees it all unfolding in front of her eyes. It's just been, as I say, I feel very content with where I'm at the moment. So in terms of what's next for me and the business, obviously the Fearless Femme podcast will be continuing. But this whole process, these past few months and the programs and the investments that I've been making has just made me feel much more intentional with the steps that I'm taking. I'm bringing more of myself into everything that I do, whether it's through my mentoring, my business, or just how I'm showing up in life. I am now feeling very ready to take things to a whole new level, especially for the new year. And this chapter is really going to be about unapologetic visibility and showing up fully and helping others to do the same. So, I want to really encourage all of you to kind of think about this next question, is to think about what's the next version of you? What's that shift that has been calling you that maybe you've been avoiding it, maybe you've been pretending that it's not there, but it needs to happen because that the minute you listen into that, the minute you tune into it is when you start leaning into it as well and really exploring with that kind of curiosity instead of fear, is the moment where everything starts to change, and things start to change like one after the other. Like this summer for us, it has been, and for myself in terms of things that I've implemented within my business, things that I've introduced, the decisions that I've made. Like the minute you start leaning into it and allowing it to happen and allowing parts of the past version of you to stay where they are and step into this next one without carrying through that kind of weight, you start to see how fast things start to fall into alignment, because you're literally bringing that next version of you into your reality. It's like alchemizing, and it's so exciting to watch, to be curious about what's going to unfold next, what's going to present itself, what next opportunity is going to show itself to you. So that's pretty much my catch up on where I've been, the bit of the journey that I've been on, and I can't wait to dive into it deeper with all of the things that I've been learning about myself, the things that I've been stripping away, what's coming up next. So it's a really exciting time for me. And what I do want to say is a huge thank you to you that's listening, and I'm really grateful that each of you have stuck around, even when I've not uploaded a recent podcast. But I will be back very, very soon with some very juicy content. So make sure that you are subscribed and you are ready for the next episode, because you aren't going to miss what I've got. You aren't going to want to miss what I've got lined up. Until then, keep showing up as your most fearless, powerful self. Talk soon. Mwah.